Top 5 Bizarre Bone Collections. Number 1. A gruesome post-battle ritual. About 2,000 years ago, a field in Denmark witnessed a bloody battle. On the more mundane side, it was the earliest evidence of large-scale conflict in the area, but the thousands of bones also revealed what happened after the fighting was over. More specifically, what the living did to the dead. Hundreds of men perished at Alkenenge and their bodies were also abandoned there, so to speak. Instead of being given a funeral, animals and the elements were allowed to ravish their corpses for as long as a year. After that, their bodies were systematically chopped up, scraped clean, and sometimes the same type of bones would be strung together on a stick, for example, a bunch of pelvis bones. Skulls were also crushed. Most of the remains were then thrown into a nearby lake. Number 2. A herd of opal dinosaurs. How Australia discovered its first dinosaur herd remains a remarkable story. In the 1980s, a man called Bob Foster worked at an opal mine in New South Wales when he and several other workers kept finding odd stones that looked like horse hooves. The other men kept smashing the rocks to look for veins of opals, but Foster began to wonder. Why did all the stones have the same shape? His gut instinct told him that the miners were devastating countless dinosaur bones, so he scooped up 2 bags of hooves and took them to a local museum. He was right. Not only did it turn out to be a new species of plant-eating dinosaur, but Foster had found a whole herd of them. One animal was nearly entirely intact, making it the world's most complete opalist dinosaur. The hooves were not really hooves. They were the toe bones of the creatures. Number 3. The Hyena Stockpile. In Saudi Arabia, there is a cave with a horrifying carpet. As far as the eye can see, bones are packed tightly together. Numbering in their thousands, the bones belong to humans, camels, horses, and roughly 10 other species. Luckily, this is not the work of a serial psychopath. In 2021, after experts found tooth marks on the bones, it became clear that hyenas have been using the place for thousands of years to stockpile bodies. There is a chance that the spotty carnivores are still utilizing the cave as a pantry. In the early 2000s, people tried to enter the site, but they beat a hasty retreat after hearing what sounded like the snarls of hyenas. Number 4. Belgium's bone walls. Ancient people loved their walls. These structures kept the enemy out and the sheep inside. But a series of 9 walls in Belgium was unlike anything that experts have ever seen before in this particular country. Instead of using bricks or normal building materials, the walls were created by stacking human shin and thigh bones together. No small bones were found. So, body parts like hands, feet, and even spines were nowhere to be found. There were also no children. However, the site did contain other body parts. The lanes that ran like rows between the walls were filled with skulls, many of them shattered. It is believed that a nearby church, St. Bavo's Cathedral, emptied its graveyard twice sometime after the 16th century. But nobody is sure why. There are no other human walls in Belgium to help explain why this community felt the need to build walls with their dead instead of placing the bones in a more traditional ossuary, a stone building that houses skulls and long bones near a graveyard. Number 5. A house made of mammoths. In 2020, a massive trove of bones was found in Russia. Dating back to roughly 20,000 years, the collection was clearly artificial and big enough to suggest that the bones had been used to build a structure. To this day, it remains unclear whether the building was somebody's home, a storage area or a temple. All that remains today is a bone circle measuring 36 feet, 11 meters, in diameter. The Ice Age builders used bones from at least 60 mammoths and other animals. The latter included foxes, horses, bears, wolves, and reindeer. One of the weirdest discoveries was that, for some unknown reason, the community constructed the place while the meat was still attached to some of the bones. The place must have reeked 6 ways to Sunday. One can be forgiven for thinking that this is certainly not the best habit when it comes to real estate. But apparently, it served enough purpose not to be unique. There are 70 similar and equally enigmatic structures from the same period across Russia and Ukraine.